Sometimes people think I'm making it up. Other times they look at me with fear. But there are those who listen with tears in their eyes. Those are the ones who truly feel, I don't know when the signs will come. I only know they will. And when the sound resonates, when the lights come on and silence falls over the world, it will be too late to prepare spiritually. But for now, we still have time. That's exactly why I'm sharing all of this, because I was dead for 7 minutes, and even though few believe me, I've come back to testify that He is real and He is coming. If this narration has touched your heart in any way, I want to ask you a question. Would you be ready if it happened to you? Let me know in the comments and share your feelings as you read this story. Do you think similar experiences are real? Have you gone through something like this, or do you know someone who has? I'm genuinely curious to hear about your experiences as well. I think I had never wished for anything as much as to stay there with Him. Being with Jesus felt like being in a home I hadn't realized I was missing. But now that I had found it, I couldn't bear the thought of losing it. I need to show you some things, He said. And the moment He spoke, our surroundings shifted again with a gentle sweetness that made me want to close my eyes and trust. In an instant, we were somewhere else. It was as if we were on top of a mountain that doesn't exist on Earth. My main goal was to score well on the SAT so I could get into college and make my mother proud. I believed in God, but it felt distant, like an aunt you only see during the holidays. I never imagined that everything could change so dramatically one morning. I looked at the world again and saw two kinds of people, those who were organized, calm, embracing, and ready, and others running through the streets, banging on store doors, screaming in desperation. It was as if everything inside them had collapsed without the usual noise to distract them. Not only was He looking at me, but He knew me, every anxiety, every regret, every hidden hope, and despite that, or maybe because of it, He loved me. He didn't need to introduce Himself. When He said my name, Chloe, it wasn't just someone calling me. It was as if my name was being spoken for the first time with its full meaning. I witnessed fathers apologizing to their children, brothers forgiving one another, neighbors who had never spoken before introducing themselves with lanterns in hand and tears in their eyes. I saw people lighting candles, not out of fear, but out of a desire to keep an inner flame alive. And His eyes, I will never forget them, were such a deep brown that they seemed to hold entire galaxies, sparkling like stars reflected on water at night. When He smiled, I felt as if every fragile piece of my heart was mended by light. In that moment, I realized I had never truly been seen before. When He showed me my mother sitting beside my body in the hospital, holding my hand and crying as if her heart was breaking, something inside me shattered. The scene felt distant, like a memory projected into space, but her pain flowed through me as if we were still connected by an invisible thread. If this kind of content excites you and makes you think, subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell so you don't miss the upcoming videos. We're preparing some very deep content, and I want you to be part of this journey. If you enjoy our channel and want to support us in a simple yet meaningful way, click the Become a Member button below. This will directly support our work and give you access to exclusive content and a community that truly believes in what we share. Now click on the video that appears on the screen. But no, instead a sense of serenity wrapped around me like a warm blanket fresh from the dryer. It was a peace I had never known before, a harmony coming from within. It felt like I was finally in the place I had always needed to be, even without realizing it. I sensed that something or someone was completely enveloping me. The air was filled with a sense of purpose. Every breath seemed to carry a message, and I sensed that nothing happened there by chance. Jesus was beside me, watching everything with a mixture of deep love and calm sorrow. "The time is near," He said. His tone didn't cause panic, but rather a profound seriousness within me. They shifted with purpose, like part of a celestial dance choreographed since the dawn of time. Others locked themselves inside, anxious, trying to ignore what was happening. And there, in that contrast, I realized a profound truth. The signs didn't demand belief. They simply revealed what was already in people's hearts. The third sign will be silence, Jesus said, and at that very moment, everything came to a halt. But not everyone received the sound calmly. I watched people cover their ears, scream, and run away from it, as if the sound revealed truths they weren't ready to face. At that moment, the world below started to change, as if we were watching a story unfold right before our eyes. The first sign will be a sound. When he said this, I could feel it. It didn't come from any single source, but from everywhere at once. It was music, but not made by instruments. It was as if, deep inside us, we sensed something sacred was happening, that the sky was trying to speak in a way no one could ignore. They will gather, Jesus continued, in their homes, in restless prayer. Some will light candles, others will sing, many will embrace and wait. Still, I managed to whisper, I saw him, I saw Jesus, I said, and in that moment something shifted in her eyes. It felt like she had been touched by an invisible presence too. She simply hugged me, and we cried together, in that crowded room full of people trying to make sense of the unexplainable. Before I could call my mom, my legs gave out, and I collapsed onto the floor of my room. It felt like someone pressed a shutdown switch inside me. The last thing I remember before everything changed was the cold floor against my face and the frustration of trying to scream, but being unable to. I know the world is heavy, but your mother needs you, and so do I. These words stayed with me. He said he needed me, not because I was perfect or special in the way I thought I had to be, but because my heart was still capable of believing. You will tell what you have seen. Even digital clocks froze, while the wind kept blowing and leaves still danced on the trees. It was as if God had switched off everything humanity had built, leaving only the divine creations active. This will be the moment when they hear what they usually ignore amid the noise, Jesus said. She was screaming and trembling, trying to do everything I remembered from the medical shows we watched together. She raised her voice on the phone with the emergency operator, but I didn't feel fear. It was strange. I was there, yet at the same time, I felt absent. His voice didn't come from outside, but echoed inside me, vibrating through every cell, as if my soul had been made to hear it. Now, you are with me, he said. Before I could ask any questions, he reached out his hand. I touched it without hesitation. The warmth from his hand was not that of a human. The floor seemed made of liquid light, yet it was stable and soft like wet grass on a spring morning. There was no sun in the sky, but everything in that place radiated a serene, embracing glow, as if the space itself were alive and aware. It felt like the memory of all beautiful things was concentrated in that touch. The scent of my mother's hair when she embraced me, the laughter from afternoons with friends, the safety of a childhood I thought was lost. I began to cry, but not from sadness. It was as if my heart was overflowing and couldn't hold it all. Not as a figure approaching, but as if he had always been there and I had finally opened my eyes. He was only a few steps away from me, and everything around him seemed to lean slightly in his presence, like flowers turning toward the sun at dawn. It was Jesus, but not the kind of Jesus I had always imagined. It felt as though he was preparing me for something immense, something I wouldn't fully grasp, but needed to witness anyway. Before the darkness, I will give 3 signs, he continued, gesturing toward the horizon with his hand. Please let me stay here with you. He looked at me with such incredible tenderness and compassion that for a moment I hoped he would say yes. But instead, he simply opened his arms and embraced me, an embrace so complete it momentarily banished all fear. I know you're tired, my little one. Everything happened all at once. The sharp hospital lights, the buzzing machines, the return of pain in my body, the air forcefully filling my lungs. I breathed so deeply it felt like my first or maybe my second breath. A doctor shouted something and a nurse dropped a folder. Some will laugh, others will ignore it, but some will listen with their hearts, and that is what truly matters. I kept crying and asked, what if no one believes me? What if I go back and seem crazy? He looked into my eyes with gentle determination and replied, you won't be alone. When I woke up that day, I felt a little dizzy, but I brushed it off, thinking it was from lack of sleep since I had been studying late. Suddenly, I felt a heavy pressure on my chest, as if a huge weight was crushing me. Everything happened so fast. Not in any science book or sci-fi movie. These were shades beyond the human palate. There was a liquid like gold, a deep violet that seemed to carry ancient memories, and a silvery white that flickered like the sound of pure laughter. The lights moved in a way that was anything but random. Nothing about him felt dramatic or distant, like in paintings or religious stories. His young face, probably in his 20s, radiated a serene joy that could break through any defense. The doctors around us murmured phrases like no brain activity and there's nothing more we can do, yet my mother refused to let go of my hand. Please come back to me, Chloe, please. Her voice drowned out every sound of the silent machines. I turned to Jesus with tear-streaked cheeks and pleaded, I don't want to go. My name is Chloe Marias. I'm 16 years old, and on October 22nd, 2024, I experienced clinical death that lasted for 7 minutes. That morning, I was in my room getting ready for school, worried about a math exam. That's when everything happened. I was a junior at Lincoln High School in Sacramento. Vehicles came to a standstill. I watched cars disappear from the streets, drivers stepping out in confusion, looking around. I saw planes making emergency landings for no apparent reason. Lights went out simultaneously across all cities. Phones lost signal, screens went dark, and elevators got stuck. Jesus said, when the silence fades, they will have 24 hours before darkness arrives, and those who don't use this time to prepare will feel a void they won't understand. His words hit me like a message I'd unknowingly carried inside. With all distractions gone, people began to look into each other's eyes, and from that silence, unexpected beauty emerged. I saw families reconnect as if meeting for the first time. I saw entire families coming together, as if trying to rediscover love for one another, away from all distractions. I noticed elders who had never spoken of faith kneeling beside young people who hadn't prayed in years. Yet I also saw those who couldn't understand. Some fled from the lights as if they were a threat. My mother always woke up early to go to work because after my father left us when I was 12, she had to work double shifts to make ends meet. My life was pretty normal, you know. I wasn't famous or lonely. I had a few close friends I often chatted with. It's impossible, someone said with a trembling voice. I had been without a heartbeat for 7 minutes. I should have suffered serious brain damage. My mother didn't say a word. She just took my face in her hands and repeated my name like a prayer. I tried to speak, but my throat was as dry as sand. Then in a flash, I was no longer there, at least not in the way I'd always known. I was watching everything from above, floating near the ceiling of my room, looking at my lifeless body on the floor. My mom rushed in, panicked. Every time you forgive, love, or stand up for the truth, I'll be by your side. In every act of courage and tenderness, you will feel me there. And when your authentic moment arrives, I will still be right here, waiting for you. Coming back felt like being pulled back into myself, wrapped in a whirlwind of light and sound. Inside me, there was the awareness that this was just the beginning of a journey I could never have imagined. Slowly, the room in my house began to fade away, as if dissolving into a light mist. There was no noise, but it felt as if silence had its own presence, a gentle rhythm that synchronized with something inside me. At that moment, I understood. I was not alone. Suddenly, an entirely different environment emerged around me, impossible to describe with words. I'm not exaggerating when I say it stopped. It was as if time itself was holding its breath. The world, a place usually filled with honking horns, notifications, engines, and constant noise, fell completely silent. But this silence was unlike any other. It felt alive, as if the planet was waiting for something sacred. It's the next chapter in this series of true experiences that can change the way you see life and what comes after. See you there. Stay with God and see you soon. The truth is that silence did not cause fear. What was truly frightening was what it revealed. They will find themselves unable to be alone with their own thoughts, Jesus said. And this, more than any darkness, will be what hurts the most. I didn't want to go back. The walls were the first to vanish, then the floor, and finally my mother, whom I had initially seen clearly, became blurred, as if someone were turning down the volume of reality. Yet the most surprising thing was that I didn't feel any fear. I should have been panicking, right? Children pointing up at the sky with wide eyes, many holding hands, others simply standing in reverence. What struck me most was the feeling of anticipation. It didn't feel like watching a grand fireworks show or an incredible northern light display. Jesus looked at me and said, "This will be the second sign. 3 nights with these lights visible everywhere on earth won't be met with fear by those who heard the sound, but for those who resist, it will be a final call to prepare." I watched people leaving their homes in the dead of night quietly. The environment seemed to respond to their presence with deep respect, and even before my eyes could take it in, my spirit was already sensing it. I was on the verge of meeting someone who could revolutionize everything, and then he appeared. I didn't notice anyone immediately, but the atmosphere around me had changed. It's hard to describe. It's like walking into a room and even before seeing anyone, sensing that someone is there. However, this person filled every corner with a unique vibration. As the sound faded, like the last chord echoing in the air before vanishing, the sky began to change. The scene before us shifted once more, and now it was night everywhere on Earth. But this was no ordinary night. The sky, usually dark or sprinkled with stars, started to glow with colors I had never seen before. It felt as though the universe itself was creating the melody. I know it sounds impossible, but I swear the sound vibrated on the skin, in the bones, and deep within the soul. It was beautiful, yet powerful, so powerful that it seemed capable of shattering what lay dormant inside me, yet I yearned to hear it again. This sound will awaken hearts, stirring an irresistible urge in people to forgive, to heal what has been broken, he said, looking at me with those eyes that seemed to see right through every layer of my soul. In that moment, I realized the sound was not just a warning, it was an opportunity. There were no buildings, trees, or man-made structures, yet I didn't feel the absence of anything. It was as if that space was perfect, just as it was. There was a quiet beauty in everything, a perfect simplicity that almost ached my heart with its depth. And it was there that I first felt its presence. "This sound will be heard by all humanity for exactly 7 minutes," Jesus said. And at that moment, I saw the world's reaction. People set aside their instruments, switched off televisions, children stopped playing, some knelt, others raised their arms as if instinctively sensing its source. Below us, the whole world spread out like a living map, but it wasn't still. Everything was moving. The oceans swayed under the light. Cities pulsed like hearts, and mountains breathed in silence. It was like seeing the planet through the eyes of God. And despite its vastness, it felt intimately present beneath our feet. I spent another week in the hospital. I went through every possible test. My heart was working. My brain was intact. No lasting damage. The doctors shook their heads as if faced with an unsolvable mystery. But for me, it wasn't a mystery. It was a calling. Since coming back, nothing has been the same. I watch people differently. I listen to conversations and wonder, did they hear that sound? Will they know how to act in the silence? I study, I smile, I live, but now with a different purpose. It's no longer just about me, it's about preparing others.